I've got a really special land investment here tucked away in Deer Lodge National Forest. This is between Phillipsburg and Anaconda, Montana. My name's Miles McLaughlin here at Wilco Land. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break down this land investment. I've got a 1.8 acre property. This is a riverfront property. It's got road access on Racetrack Road. And then I'm going to talk about a 93 acre property that we have that sits behind this property. So I think these would be really good complementary properties for somebody who's looking for a generational land investment in Montana. This is totally surrounded by Forest Service. Tons of high alpine lakes I'm going to walk you through and show you where they're at. Hiking trails outside your front doorstep. So in the video, again, I'm going to break down things like access. I'm going to show you these properties on satellite imagery. And I'm going to talk about common questions and FAQs we get on this property, talk about target audience and what I've seen people do on these type of land investments. So just kicking off the video here, looking at some of the photos of this nice 1.8 acre property, road access, creek frontage, tucked away in a canyon, really cool lot. And I'll start with a quick disclaimer here. This isn't legal advice. This isn't real estate advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions on the property with you as a buyer. As a buyer, you're going to need to conduct your own due diligence and make sure this property is the right fit for you. We sell all of our property as is here at Wilco Land. I'll try to share some of my knowledge with you through my own due diligence and my experience in the industry. So again, looking at the access road, getting back into this property, this is just a nice property. I mean, when we talk about a dream property tucked away in Forest Service, sitting in a canyon, it's something that fits the bill for, I think, a lot of people. I was really happy to get my hands on this land. It is a special land investment, and I consider it more of a generational land investment. You just don't see a lot of properties like this hit the market. And this 93 acres are really cool land investment too. It does sit right behind that property. I'm going to talk about this property here in a second in the video. But first, I want to show you guys the location here on a map. Here's Anaconda. We're looking at Phillipsburg. We're located right in here in this mountain range, right? Just west of Racetrack and Deer Lodge, Montana. If we go a little bit further away, Missoula's right there, Hamilton, Butte, and then you get down here and you're in Big Sky, Bozeman. So really a niche mountain range here in Montana, something special as you can see by the photos. So, talking about that, I want to talk about, this property first, and I want to show you guys this land investment here on satellite imagery in a second. But first, I want to show it to you on Onyx Maps. I mentioned what makes this a really special location, and what makes it so special is across the street. So here's the first property we're looking at, and I'll roughly measure it out. So here's Racetrack Road coming right in front of the property. This front section of the property is going to be roughly an acre. Okay. Plenty of space to build a cabin, park some RVs, make it your own campground, teepees, yurts, things like that. People will get creative. There is a nearby Forest Service cabin that I want to talk about. I have some photos of that too. This is a really unique idea that the Forest Service did. You can actually get on forestservice.gov and rent this cabin. This is a racetrack cabin. It's about a mile down from our property further into the canyon. I wanted to share this with you just because what it does, it gives you an idea of what you could do with your property, right? With the subject property that we're talking about, wood burning stove, old Forest Service cabin, use some of the lumber on the property. Really a cool idea, right? So we sell a lot of land like this. When we talk about unique and epic land locations, this fits the bill. The huge selling point here is the location. I mean, like I said, this is a really special location. Why? You're surrounded by Forest Service. As I zoom out, here's the property down here, and here's our 93 acre as well up on the top of this mountain. Look at this. As I zoom out, the only thing, it's all Forest Service. It's hiking trails that take you up to Bauman Lakes, right? Upper Bauman Lake, Lower Bauman Lake, another lake, right? There's lakes everywhere. Okay, if I look around Thornton Lake, okay, we've got Big Posega Lake, we've got Meadow Lakes, you've got Fisher Lake, right? As I zoom out, there are lakes everywhere, Racetrack Lake, and there's hiking trails all over the place. Here's some private land ownership tucked away in the National Forest. That this stuff doesn't change hands, right? And why do people use these properties? Look at all these lakes up here, Meadow Lakes. Look at everything Meadow Lakes has, and all these hiking trails right outside your property. This is special. It's 3 miles up to Big Posega Lake, and here's your property. You hop on an ATV or you freaking walk down the road and you're hiking up that trailhead. It's an unbelievable location. People don't get to own land like this. I can't emphasize enough that there's surrounding you is over 100 and over 200,000 acres of national forest. This shows as a 63-acre tract. If I click over here, it's another 124 acres, 124,000 acres, right? So, and look at all these high alpine lakes and hiking trails. As I zoom in, it's everywhere. This is a special, special part of Montana. And that is the main selling point is, hey, you get to own land in a location nobody else gets to. I think that's something that's special, whether it be for hunting, for fishing, for snowmobiling in the winter, hiking in the summer. This is a really, really special, we talk about lakefront cabins and stuff being generational assets that go from one generation to the next. This is the same thing, right? Tucked away here in the national forest. How are people using these properties? They're coming back here, they're going snowmobiling, right? They're coming back here, they're going hiking, they're doing fly fishing, they're going hunting. And here's another photo. Here's Racetrack Cabin right down the road during the winter. People take snowmobiles out here during the winter. Okay. And so Racetrack Cabin, as a crow flies, you go straight down the road here. As a crow flies, that Racetrack Cabin is going to be roughly, I'll do the distance from the property, going to be about, a mile away, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Okay. So as a crow flies, and as we zoom out, you can see the property's tucked away in this canyon right here. We can look around. There's high alpine lakes everywhere. Here's Posega Lakes. So you can see some of that imagery on Google Earth. Here's Bauman Lakes up here, right? So I could click all day and show you guys what these areas look like in these high alpine lakes, but I want to talk more about access to this 93 acre now. So I talked about, this 1.8 acre is cut and dry, right? It's easy to access. You've got road frontage, you've got creek frontage. There's going to be a lot you can do with this property. It really fits a bill of like a dream property here in Montana. The next property behind it, so it's all Forest Service that is between this property and this property. And this is where it comes in. I think these would be really good complementary properties. Access to this 93 acre is going to be a monster. It's going to be an adventure. The next person that owns this is going to have to figure that out. Could be easy. It could be challenging. It could take years to figure out, but there are old Forest Service roads or mining roads that get up here. So you can see this. Basically, there's switchbacks that exist from satellite imagery, right? This is the most recent imagery in 2024 that we have available to us. We can see there's some sort of switchback road that exists up here. If I go back in time, we can keep looking at it, right? See how it changes a little bit over time. Different years are going to have different types of imagery. This is really good from 2015. You can see all these switchbacks. As you come down, it almost looks like it switches back. You see that? It almost looks like it comes down and kind of floods to the back of this property. I thought that was really interesting. Otherwise, it looks like it could come down, and it kind of looks like it comes down and shoots out down here somewhere. So it's interesting when we go look at these time lapses. See, you can see this road again. It almost looks like it comes and floods out somewhere down here. So when you pass the bridge down here on Racetrack Creek, there's a bridge right here. When you pass the bridge, take a look. You might find some sort of old roadbed somewhere around this area that provides you access onto this old Forest Service road. And that's going to make it a lot easier to work with Forest Service to get some sort of conditional use permit for a driveway. But we can see there has been access up to this land from this backside, it looks like, over here from Racetrack Road. I haven't been out to this property. I don't know what that looks like. We can keep playing around with different imagery dates and look to see if we can find clues. It really does look like it floods out, roughly, a quarter mile from the bridge. It kind of looks like it floods out down here somewhere. Take a look on Racetrack Road. You might see some old roadbed. Maybe you can hike up to the 93 acre using that. Again, when it comes to working with Forest Service to get some sort of conditional use permit to get a road, a better drivable road up there, or even something a side-by-side could take, that's going to be a project. That's not going to happen overnight. You're more than likely buying this property with the conditions the way it is right now. You're not going to get that answer in a month or 3 months. That could take months, if not years, to figure out. But that's why I think these are really good complementary products, because you have this property down here. This is where you're developing the dream. Down here, tucked away in the canyon, surrounded by Forest Service. This is a dream property right here. Then you've got this huge, massive chunk of land that offers you a place to go hike up to. Maybe that old roadbed is pretty good for hiking up to. It offers a place to build tree forts, yurts. We do actually sell a lot of property like this by itself even And, we're open to selling each of these properties, the 1.8 acre or the 93 acre, together or separately. But, that's going to be a hunting property, a recreational property. Think tiny homes, yurts, hunting blinds, right? All that good stuff. This is your own private oasis up at top of the mountain. So I think it's a pretty cool asset that would come with this one. And these are really, really hard land investments to price. I'll go through some of the photos and videos that we have of this area while I chat a little bit more about pricing and stuff and what we do here. But, these are impossible properties to price because there's nothing that exists on the market that are like them. And so, we've thrown a price out there. We're open to working with somebody to find a price that makes sense for both sides. Okay. We're looking for the right buyer, somebody who's going to take care of this property, somebody who's motivated to buy something like this and has been looking for something like this for a while. I do think these two properties would go really well together. However, we would sell them individually. We are open to a conversation around price. Again, these are extremely challenging properties to value. They don't hit the market. There's no comparable sales, so there's not a lot to go off of. I have worked with a lot of land like this, and I know locations like this are special. Being in the industry for over 10 years, you just don't stumble upon properties like this. These just aren't listed. Like I said, they are generational properties, and they very rarely do they go through changing hands between families, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents on these properties. They're cool. They're special. If you're into hunting, if you're into the backcountry, these are going to be some pretty good fits for maybe what you're looking for. So again, we haven't touched a lot on this 93 acre. Our photographer did do a really good job of getting some nice photos of this property, showing us what it looks like. It is at the top of this mountain. It's a gnarly property. It's something cool. And there are, there's a way to hike in there. We know that for sure. We know there's a value to 93 acres with hiking access. That I have sold. I have sold plenty of property like this. And people are interested in that. They use it for hunting. They pack in materials to build yurts or little tiny sleeper cabins up there, tree forts, things like that. So there's also a lot of timber up there. So maybe you can work out some sort of lease with Forest Service and a timber company. There's a lot of different angles you can attack this 93 acre and this 1.8 acre. So if you're in the market for something like this, just get with us. I do have other land investments in Montana. I'll show you guys quick on the homepage and the website. For land viewings, my favorite app is going to be Onyx Maps. So if you are able to go visit this, you're going to have some level of backcountry skills. You're going to use the GPS coordinates to go find the property. You can see the property outlined here and the property outlined here. I'm on Onyx Hunt. I recommend getting the private layer of land ownership out there too. When it comes to other land investments, take a peek at our homepage. I've got a small property in Lewiston. I've got some stuff in Bighorn, Montana. You can see those 2 lots we just talked about right there. I've got a property out in Cascade, Montana, Wolf Creek area. That's a really cool 28 acre with a driveway, really well, reasonably priced. 5 acres in Ennis. We've got some stuff down in Stevensville, just south of Missoula, 140 acres. Really cool property with some nice views up top there too. Some stuff in Columbia Falls and places like that. So, just get with us if you have questions. You can reach me here at 605-299-5553. Thanks for tuning in.